Hey, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unfeigned the podcast. I'm Jay. I'm your host. But before we dive into this episode, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who's been following me on this journey. Thank you to everyone that's been listening. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'm so grateful and thankful. And I just hope that you'd stay with me. Another thing is I want to connect with you. I say that on every episode, probably almost every episode, but it's true. I really want to connect with y'all. I want to hear your stories, and I want to answer any questions you might have about my story. I want to encourage you, and I want to be encouraged. So email me at unfeignedpodcast@gmail.com. Again, unfeignedpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. So let's dive in. I started to think about the concept of ugly. Now, stay with me for a second because this episode may seem like I'm thinking out loud a little bit. And, honestly, it is going to be like that. But I started to think of this concept of ugly. We've all had conversations of things we've been attracted to, people we've been attracted to, and people who we don't find attractive, right? And things we were not attracted to. And so I started to think of that whole concept. And then my mind went to, like, who determines that? If I say something is not attractive, what is that based on? How do I determine what is quote unquote ugly? Right? And how do I determine what's attractive? And how do I get to declare that? And I started to think like this, and then I thought, wait, we've all seen couples that, at the mall, the beach, walk down the road, and we see these couples that we may not be attracted to, but they're happy, they're attracted to each other. And so you think like there's someone for everyone. There's someone out there for everyone. And so I came to this conclusion, right, in my official, unofficial opinion. I came to the conclusion that there is no such thing as ugly. There's just no such thing as ugly. It's really all relative, right? It's based on each person's unique senses, right? So there cannot be such a thing as ugly. There can be desires and things you don't desire, all that, but there's someone out there for everyone. So as I'm thinking about this concept, and I just thought, yeah, there's no such thing as ugly. There's something attractive about every single person to someone else. There's something that someone else will find cute or attractive or desirable or whatever about someone. And so as I'm thinking about this, I thought, and I don't even really know how my mind made the jump from that, but I guess I started thinking like what makes us attracted to people, right? And again, I apologize if this is me thinking out loud right now, but just track with me because I want to make the correlation to relationships, and I have an important message. But so I started to think like what attracts us? Why do we find things attractive? What happens? Where does that come from? How do people have a quote unquote type? And if I really think that there's no such thing as ugly, why am I not like attracted to everyone? So I just started to think about all of these things, and I came to this place where I thought, obviously involves what we see, right? And then what happens when we see that. And I think on the last episode I talked about perception, right? Our perspective, our perception. It didn't really relate to ugly and what, but and pretty or whatever. But same kind of concept, like it has to do with what we see and then what that does to us when we process the information. And then I thought, how do couples, and I know I don't really know how my mind made this jump, but it did. Like I said on the previous episode, my mind goes 100 miles an hour, a million different things all at once. But I started to think like, how do couples who seemingly, and this is in general, but seemingly are so attracted to each other in the beginning, right? Like they are super attracted to each other. They're drawn to each other. Like, how do they lose that? So many couples talk about how romance has been lost in their relationship. So many couples talk about how passion has been lost in their relationship. There are so many couples, far too many couples, married couples, who no longer have sex. There are far too many couples who no longer do anything sexual with each other. And listen, this is in general. And again, I'm thinking out loud about some different concepts and things. And I know that there are external factors that can affect that. I know that firsthand. I know that if you're putting your attention, if you're giving your attention to pornography, that will affect your marriage, that will affect your relationship, that will affect, and it definitely can affect the sexual activity in your relationship. It can affect the desire for your partner. So I get that. I get that. There are also other outside factors, external factors, like children, right? If your attention is going towards your children, you can become exhausted. I get all that. That could affect your desire or your willingness, right, to do something else. So listen, I understand that there are things that could affect this, but I'm talking about in general. There are couples, there are relationships that we hear about all the time that are super attracted to each other in the beginning. They're like all over each other. They're super in love, super happy, and they definitely want each other. They desire each other. And then all of a sudden, at some point, it's gone. How does that happen? Where does it go? Like, why does that happen? And I started to think about this, and you're going to have to track with me now because this is sort of how I wrapped my mind around this. So in the beginning, when couples are like all into each other, they desire each other, they want each other, they're super happy, they're super attracted to each other, they give a lot of attention to the things that they're attracted to about the other person, right? So for instance, if I think someone is cute, if I think someone has a really cute personality, right, and that's very attractive to me, right? How will they know that I think they're cute? Well, probably because I'll tell them. And how will they know what is, and it doesn't even matter if they are trying to be cute, because that's not me personally, that's not the kind of personality that's attractive. Like the person who's trying really hard to try to be cute. The kind of personality that's super attractive to me is just the cute that happens without them even trying. Like that's super cute. I know y'all probably know what I'm trying to explain here, but it's just that cute way, right? That's super attractive. Well, how do they know? Well, it's probably because I tell them, right? How will they know like what it is? Well, I probably would have mentioned some things, or like when something happens, probably be like, oh my God, that's so cute when you do that. And okay, so as I'm mentioning these things, as I'm speaking these things out loud, I'm speaking those things into our lives, right? Well, what is inevitably going to happen to the person I'm speaking those things to? Well, and again, this is at the time where we both are attracted to each other, we both want each other, we both desire each other, we want to, we want to be with each other. Well, as this is going on, that other person is probably going to want me to continue to think these things, right? Because it's keeping me attracted and they want me to be attracted. And so they will probably, even though they are not trying to do it in this example, being cute, even though they don't like go out of their way to figure out how they can be cute, they're just cute. More than likely, they're not going to purposely try not to be cute. They're more than likely not going to consciously make a conscious effort to not be cute, right? Well, why? Because they know I like that. And imagine now if I'm doing that, I'm speaking. Listen to me, it's very important. If I'm speaking this out loud, and then she's doing the same thing to me, right? Whatever it is that is attractive about me, right? And she's speaking this out loud to me, and we're constantly talking to each other about these things, and we're constantly speaking these things into our relationship, well, what's going to happen? What's inevitably going to happen? That feeling that's associated with what we're speaking out loud is never going to go away. It can't. It's impossible for that to go away as long as we are speaking that into the life of our relationship. Listen, y'all, words are important. Words have power. If you're questioning where I'm going with all this, think about this. Is the power of suggestion something real? Is it true? Is it an actual thing? Is there something to the power of suggestion? If you don't think so, just take a look at the media. Excuse me. If you think for a second that the power of suggestion is not a real thing that's in our world, just listen to the media, watch the news, look what's going on in our world. The power of suggestion is all over the place. I mean, think about your own self. Maybe you have bought something that maybe you didn't even really need it or even really want it. You bought it because you were persuaded to buy it because it was suggested so often to you, whether it be the media, your friends, or whatever. The power of suggestion is a real thing. Well, what about speaking something into existence? I know some of y'all have used that phrase or heard that phrase, right? Maybe have even been told that phrase to speak it into existence, claim it, right? Speak something into existence. That's a real thing. And I believe that's a real thing. I don't believe that necessarily we are all wizards. Well, I definitely don't believe we're wizards. Like if we just say something enough, magically it's going to poof, it's going to appear in my living room. I'm not talking about that, but I think the power in the power behind the power of suggestion and the power behind speaking something into existence is what it does with our mindset and our attitude and our choices and what it leads us towards and what it keeps us, what it persuades us to avoid and things like that. And then seemingly because of what we've spoke, right, came to fruition. Well, this is a real thing. It's true. It's real. And so if that's the case, then our words have to matter. Our words have to carry power. And so what if a couple, what if both partners are speaking these things into the life of their relationship? Not, and don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. If I am super attracted to this quote unquote cute way, I'm not trying to convince myself that I'm attracted to it. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm not trying to force this attraction on me and I'm just picking something, out of the sky to just start speaking about and I'm going to become attracted. No, I already am attracted to that. I already feel this inside. What I'm doing now is I'm speaking out loud what I already feel inside. And by doing that, I know it sounds mystical. I'm not trying to go there, but I know it sounds kind of funny like that. But I'm releasing the power of my words. And the more I tell my partner how cute she is and how much I love that and how much I engage with her in those moments, right? For me, that's like whatever she's doing to me. Imagine us doing the same thing. The more we do that, the more power we're releasing in our words, which guess what that's going to do? It's going to cement that feeling into our relationship where it cannot disappear. It will be impossible to lose. And so just imagine for a second the power in that. Imagine the outcome, the effect that this concept can have on your relationship. Let's take something physical, okay? Say something physical. So there's a physical attribute that you really like about your partner. And how would they know you like it? Maybe because you tell them all the time. And this may not be the best example, but it fits. Okay, obviously there's other things that will affect this, but And it's not, this physical part isn't going to work out exactly like the character part that we just talked about. But let's just say, for instance, you really like your partner's butt. Okay. Well, how will she know that you like her butt? I would assume that you probably tell her. You probably make comments about her butt. And now, listen, I'm not talking about crude, insensitive comments. I'm talking about like the flirtatious, playful, sexual, suggestive comments. Stuff that happens in a relationship, and that keeps the excitement, the mystery in the relationship, and so you probably have said something about her butt to her, and you probably have mentioned how much you like it. You probably look at it or stare at it or say things to her about it, and maybe even flirt, a little bit by some suggestive comments about her butt. And heck, you probably even touch it, right? You like to touch her butt. Or the point is, she probably knows that you are attracted to her butt because of what you've told her. Possibly because of, how you like to touch it or grab it or whatever, but mostly probably because of what you've told her. And so inevitably, what is that going to do to your partner? It's going to make her feel a certain way about the thing that makes you feel that certain way. So she may continue to flirt with you about it. She may continue to let you touch it. Right? If you like, I don't know, if you like a really big butt, maybe she keeps it really big. I mean, if you like a tight butt, I don't know, maybe she keeps it tight. Whatever the point is, the point isn't the way that it looks, because I may be attracted to a certain look, you may not be. You may be attracted to a certain look, I may not be. So this has nothing to do, don't get it twisted, it has nothing to do with suggesting something that you want your partner to do because you don't like something. Or I'm not talking about the brokenness that can creep into situations like this. What I'm talking about is we are super attracted, we're super into each other, we desire each other, we want each other, and we're talking about how does that go away. And I'm just suggesting how that you can make it possible. You can what's the word, fail-safe proof, I don't know, you can make it so that it never goes away. And so what will it do? It will cause my partner or your partner to think about how it makes you feel. That part of her body makes you feel. And she might want to keep you feeling that way. Well, what's going to happen when she does that to you? You're going to want to make her keep feeling that way about you. Let's say she likes your arms. Well, you might try to keep your arms looking a certain way that she likes them. Right? It's not because you're trying to suggest something that you don't like and you want her to change something and all that. Okay? It's not because you're trying to convince yourself that you want to be attracted to it and you're just picking something that you would like to be attracted to and you're not. That's not the case. You are simply speaking out loud what you already feel inside. And I just picked out 2 examples. But imagine that with anything, right? If both partners are speaking out loud constantly, speaking out loud, the things you're attracted to about your partner, physically saying these things out loud to your partner a lot, constantly, how much you adore them, whatever it is. I mean, it could be a personality, it could be an emotion, it could be a physical trait, anything. What they do for you, like whatever, it could be anything. But imagine speaking out loud, constantly, consistently, the things that you're attracted to about your partner, and both partners are doing that to each other. That will inevitably ingrain that into your relationship. You will never lose that, ever. You will never have to say, the romance in our relationship is gone. The passion is gone. We don't have sex. We don't touch each other. We don't even hug each other. We're not physically attracted to each other anymore. I can't stand to be around them. Like all these things that come up that you're like, man, they used to be so into each other. What happened? Well, this is what happened. At some point, and I get it, everything, your relationship's being bombarded by so many things. Well, how do you make it so that those things that are bombarding your relationship don't destroy your relationship? Well, this is one way. There is power in your words. And imagine if you're unleashing that power into your relationship and you're speaking out loud the things that you desire about your partner, the things that attract you about your partner, and both partners are doing it. And inevitably, you're creating this connection because you want to make the other person feel that about you. And you want to feel that about the other person. And so you're wanting, all of a sudden now, you're wanting to serve that person. You're looking for things that that keep that kind of feeling in your relationship. And the trick is it has to be constant. It has to be a daily thing, every moment that you get. And yes, sometimes you just don't feel like saying it. I get it. You're exhausted. You have these external factors, right? I get it. But shoot, you just make a choice to just say it. You don't have to have a whole pomp and circumstance around the words. Sometimes you do. Like I know I get pretty animated. I get excited. I get that. Not everybody's like that, but to not speak it out loud is to invite destruction into your relationship. Speaking these things out loud ensures that you will never lose that. You will never lose the romance. You will never lose the passion. You will never lose the attraction. You will never lose the sexuality, the sensuality. You'll never lose the flirting, the playfulness. You'll never lose the connection. You will be able to know that you know that you know that you will never lose your relationship. You'll never grow apart. You'll never lose the romance and the passion. You'll never have to question, like, what happened? We used to love each other. You'll never lose that. You don't fall out of love. This may be opening a whole other can of worms, but you don't fall out of love. There's no such thing as falling out of love. You step out of it. You choose to step out of love. You don't just fall out of love. And I think that speaking these things specifically, I know this episode was about attraction and how it's so prevalent amongst relationships. And it's so heartbreaking because there's way too many relationships that experience this loss of all this stuff, loss of passion, loss of attraction, loss of love, loss of communication, loss of attention, loss of quality time. Just enter anything in there. I know this episode was about the attraction and how it's been lost and how you can never lose it. But this is one really big thing of how never to lose it. There's power in your words and you need to speak it out loud. You need to tell your partner. You need to talk about these things. You need to share these desires and passions and attractions, the things that conjure that up inside you about your partner. You need to share that with your partner, and both partners need to do it. It can't be one. If one's doing it and the other one's not, it's still going to end up broken. Both partners have to do it. And I understand both partners won't do it the exact same way. I know people are different. That's fine, but you got to do it. And this is just one thing to ensure this kind of relationship. Y'all, think about this. If all of this is true, which I think it is, if all of this is true, imagine what the power of your words could do to fix every other situation in your relationship. Imagine what the power of your words could do to heal parts of your relationship. that you just keep doing over and over and over. If this is true, what I've talked about on this episode, then it has to be true for everything else. And imagine what the power in your words, speaking it out loud, could do for healing in your relationship. Y'all, thank you for listening to this episode. I would love to connect with you specifically about this episode. You know, my heart breaks for relationships. I was there. This is crazy. Had I felt, believed, thought, known what I do now years ago, I would have been experiencing all this stuff in my marriage. Y'all, my heart breaks for relationships that are where I was at. And I would love to connect with you about these specific things. Everyone can experience this kind of relationship. Everyone can. It's possible no matter what the brokenness is and no matter who the people are. Everyone can have this kind of relationship. There are things that need to be done. Obviously, there's healing that needs to take place, obviously. But if both partners make the choice, it can be done. Yo, I'm going to leave you with this, because everything is always connected to these three things. These three scripts, these three playbooks, these three mottos, these three formats, procedures, whatever, of life. One, and not in any particular order, it's just what's coming to my mind, but be curious, not judgmental. Choose, commit, confront. That's the second. The third, and this is in and through everything, maybe the most important of the three. Whatever you give your attention to, you will become attracted to. And whatever you become attracted to, you will pursue. That directly applies to everything I talked about on this episode. Y'all, thank you again for listening. Really, truthfully, I want to connect. I want you to reach out. Email me at unfeignedpodcast@gmail.com. Send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I'm going to put up, I put up those little slides, those little teasers that kind of promote the episode coming up. So that'll be there on the social media platforms. And then when you get to whatever that social media is, send me a DM or email me. I want to connect. I want to talk to you about this kind of stuff. Okay. And I can only say this stuff. Listen, I have not arrived. I don't have I'm healing. It's a process. I've been on a journey for the last 9 years. I've come a long way. I understand I still got a long way to go. It'll end when I'm in heaven. But I've come a long way, and I can talk about certain things because I know what I used to be. And I know what I healed from and what the healed version of it looks like. Y'all, thank you again for listening. Until next time, see you then.